never have enough time to play it all. You know everybody wants to walk in someone else's shoes. Everyone's forgot who they are. Such a crime to waste his time away. Such a low-down guy.
Hey guys, welcome back to Otter Creek and Rio Grande. So it's Thanksgiving weekend, and as I mentioned in a previous upload, I'm going to do a little bit of bench work things over this longer weekend. I don't know how much I'm gonna get accomplished. It may very well be that this video might extend into the Christmas break. I'm not sure because, I know what I need to do, but I'm not sure how much time I'm gonna have to do, with eating, traveling, and spending time with family. So I'm gonna work on it while I can. And so I'm gonna go ahead and share what it is I'm gonna try and do. So all of this in here has really kind of got me down. It's terrible. I hate it. It's disorganized, and it's not the way I want it. Now, if you'll recall from several videos ago, 6 months to a year, I had proposed at one time in this area there having an airbrush station, and I ixnayed that. So now I'm thinking that my airbrush station I want to have over here, kind of where the shelving unit is. So what I want to do is move all of this garbagia and finish out the bench work to the door, and see about what's going to go on there with the airbrush station. Now, since I'm going to be doing bench work things anyway, I'm going to go ahead and take some measurements here in Hellgate, because most of this structure underneath here is just temporary at the height that I more or less wanted it to be at. And you can see I've got this nasty bow that, starts here and goes there, and then I've got a terrible dish right in there. So since I'm gonna be working on bench work, I'm gonna go ahead and work on what needs to take place here, and I might touch a little on what needs to go there. I'm thinking about extending this piece of plywood 4 feet out that way to help with the mine that's going to be there. So, and that's the Lucky Stroke mine. So I'm going to get started on that, and we're just going to have to see how far I get with it and how it all develops. All right, I've got some L girders created. Now, 3 of these, well, really all of them but one are for Hellgate. I've got one 8-footer that's gonna be for the Cloud City area, and then everything else is for Hellgate. Now, I'm not anticipating getting to Hellgate at all anytime soon, but since I was in the process of making some of these L girders, I wanted to make what I needed all at once and kind of have them ready for when I'm gonna tackle Hellgate. But right now, I think I need to reconfigure the shop so I can move all of the south wall into here, and then install the one L girder that's for Cloud City, and then kind of figure out the rest of the bench work in there before I move on. phase one of remove and reorganize is complete. Don't feel like I've accomplished much other than moving a bunch of junk from one point to another, which has been a common theme among what I've done here at the Otter Creek. So let's go off in and take a look at the space and kind of talk about phase two. Looking at the space here, I've still got all of this garbage there that I need to do something with, but I'm going to wait and mess with it after I've got the L girder extended out and the other ledger board, you know, the L girder and then the ledger board beneath it. And, you know, the idea is that right here at this end, either going straight out from the wall this way, or I might see what I think about having it here, you know, underneath the benchwork. I've got a desk that I've used for many years. All of the miniatures that I've painted for tabletop war games, I painted on that desk, and it's a mess in the house. The wife is tired of looking at it, so it's time it gets moved in here. And the idea is to completely transform that into a dedicated location just to running the airbrush. So phase two here is going to be extending the ledger board and the L girder. I guess phase two is complete. I've got the L girder and the ledger board coming through here, and everything seems to be working out kind of the way I thought it was going to. The only question now is whether or not I go ahead and continue with the rest of the benchwork this way, and I'm a little indecisive on that. I think the way it needs to be, I think I need to go ahead and come out with 48 inches this way, which will actually bring everything to right about here. And, you know, seeing how all that works. The only little thing that I'm kind of unsure of is where the plywood interfaces with the top of the L girder here, is what kind of structural integrity do I have over the top of the airbrush station. So I've tested that, and I'll show you what I mean. So the distance from where the top of the plywood would be to, you know, the sitting position, you know, working in this station is fine. There's zero chance that at the bottom of that plywood that I would ever hit my head. Now there would be a little bit of concern if anything else came through here, but I haven't tested that yet. But I think it'll work. It's just a matter of where do I end the plywood, and I think I can get away with ending the layout right here. So the reverse loop is coming on the inside of that area there. It's just a matter of getting it all to work out the way I want it to. So there's still a little more planning and kind of fiddling to get it all worked out. I think the next step now, we call it phase 3, is doing something with all of that. And then I think I'm gonna spend the whole rest of the day just trying to organize and put things back in a location somewhere underneath the layout so it's out of sight, out of mind. And hopefully I will only ever have to move it one more time. I just jinxed myself. We have transitioned from Thanksgiving to Christmas. It's currently Christmas Day right now, so I'm not sure when this video will air, but I'm relatively sure it will be after Christmas. But nonetheless, Merry Christmas. So I have completed the airbrush station, and I'm really happy with it. There's still a few more tweaks that will need to be made. Eventually, I think I mentioned this in a previous segment, but it's been a while, so excuse me for repeating myself. But somewhere in here, I want to bring some air in from a really good air compressor instead of my little crappy one that melted down on me the last time I was airbrushing. And then, of course, the ventilation system also leaving outside of the room somewhere. So other than that, it's fairly well good to go. Eventually, I may dedicate this to a rolling stock workstation as well. You know, I can work on all of the structures over on the big workbench, and then if I can find the room and reorganize things a little bit better, work on rolling stock here. That's kind of the plan. Now, as far as the rest of the room goes, I'm set up to just kind of get busy doing what needs to be done with bench work and track work this spring. I've got pretty much an idea of what's going to take place and how to go about doing it. I'm not going to discuss that in this video because I will probably open up with my first video of next year with, you know, plans of what is going to take place in 2025. So I don't want to talk about that a lot here, but everything is good to go. I should have very little obstructions and be able to get right to it just as soon as I'm make the decision to do it. My plan now is to go ahead and see if I can salvage this terribly warped piece of plywood and finish up the substructure for Hellgate. If I can get that completed before the end of the year, then I think I'm in really good shape to begin 2025. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. Work on the L girders and all of the things that I've already built that just needs to be put in place. is up on the Benchwork. So you can see that nearly all of the curl and wonkiness of the plywood is virtually gone. There's still a little bit of a bow right in through here, kind of a dish throughout until it gets to, you know, kind of right in there where that gondola is. But I don't think that's going to cause me any problems. I've moved this car, you know, the length of that track there back and forth. I can set it in any one location I want and it won't skate. So I don't think that'll cause me any problems other than, you know, you might be able to see some of that with the naked eye standing there. I don't know. But I'm pretty happy with it. My only concern, and some of you may have already started typing in the comments, well, how are you going to clean that? Or what happens if that one turnout that's back there causes me problems and needs to be replaced? Very valid concerns. So I'm going to leave everything the way it is right now. My thought is that when I take the plywood off to put on the electronics and the switch motors, I will also take off the staging yard because it's designed to come out pretty easily. And I will get rid of all of the excess plywood that's there, which should make it a little easier for me to reach up in. And I may also reconfigure this L girder. I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to go about doing it, but you know, worst case scenario, you know, that switch blows up or whatever and I can only use one piece of track. I don't know. We'll tackle that, I guess, when it happens, if it happens. The other turnout that's in there, the one for the narrow gauge, there's nothing mechanical about it. As long as the wheels are engaged, then there shouldn't be any issues with it. As luck would have it, I'm finishing up this video at the end of 2024. So I'm going to close out by kind of shamelessly taking a look at the progress that I have achieved over the year and also providing video evidence of where I was at the end of 2024 so that I can come back to this a year later and kind of see what I accomplished in 2025. So I'm just going to take a walk around and look at a few things on camera for my own purposes and leave you with some music. Thanks for watching Otter Creek and Rio Grande.